Good afternoon, everybody. I am honored to have an opportunity to be a part of this conversation. So, how do we do this work? So the work that I do day to day now as the director for the Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships really is about how we get the work done, the relationship between partnerships, leaderships, and how everybody is included in that work. Yes, it does take action on all of our parts. And what I find when we go across the country and meet with people in local communities and spend a whole lot of time listening, trying to build relationships with the people who are doing the hands-on work, trying to change or strengthen or rebuild their communities, what I find is that people have the heart to help. Sometimes the guidance that is needed to do things in a way that bring about the richest results may be absent. Sometimes everything they need may be right in the community, but the relationships have not been built because of political walls or because of real bridges. I was in a city last week and the folk were mad because the meeting was across the river and they weren't sure how the people from the west side were supposed to get to the east side if we really wanted everybody there. Was there a central location that so geographic boundaries were separating people of faith from doing a work that all believed they were called to do together. So I wanted to spend my time today talking about an example that we're using in our work as a part of the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships in Washington, D.C. And this office is designed to just kind of listen to people in their communities, share with them some of the larger issues that our society is grappling with, and find ways to invite folk to work together. The convening power of our local, state, and federal governments sometimes is underestimated. And so we've been in meetings with people who live in the same community but don't really talk to each other. But they come together because some group that they trust or somebody they have relationship with has called them to come together. How often could that leader be the faith leader? So I've had pastors say to me, well, I don't know how I can help. Really? I don't know how I can help with education's agenda. Well, what are you preaching about? What are you teaching about? How important is education to you as an individual? Is there a way you can message about this in just what you normally do and then do it in bold, 28 font? Include something in the bulletin. Talk to children and parents face to face. They really are listening. And so the work of empowering people who already have power to help on specific issues like gang violence, to speak to stuff that nobody really wants to talk about, to bring issues out of the shadow, to talk to the very people who are suffering about the way they want and need to be helped. Because many of our organizations are famous for really serving and helping people, but doing things for people, not necessarily with people. And that's a hard thing for us to say to ourselves because it feels good. So we've decided that one of the ways that we can do our work better is to begin by working with people sooner. So President Obama decided in 2011 that he wanted to reach out and use young people in our colleges and universities to become some of the real agents of change, agents of healing, agents of hope. Almost all of our colleges and universities already have service learning programs. But the intentional work of asking the organizations, and most of these are on secular campuses, where there are faith-based organizations, the Jewish club, the Muslim club, the Secular Alliance, asking them to intentionally come together and work on some issue that was impacting their community. No money came with this. There was no additional grant to the school or anything. But just how much can you learn by everybody working together on something that you found that was important in the community? And the response has been tremendous. We have over 400 colleges and universities that have intentionally signed on to do interfaith work beyond dialogue. What's happened on a lot of those campuses, we have presidents, college presidents saying, it's helping with recruitment and retention because our students want to know that we care about something in addition to their academics. And we want students to know that academics alone is not enough to make you a successful citizen. You have to be engaged in the world in a real way. And so these are just some of the examples of the colleges and universities that have dug in, working across their faith lines or not, because in some of our institutions we had students say, well, we want to help, and we don't believe in anybody. We don't believe in anything. Come on and do the work, and just build relationships with other people. Show your heart, connect your heart and your head, and we can get some of the hard work done in our communities done together. So these are quick examples of Elmhurst College and doing their hands project where they were plastering walls. Rhodes College does a 9/11 day of service, but they connect with families that they work with all year long, even though they may do something special together as Christians, Jews, and Muslims on the 9/11 day. The Presbyterian College work that they've been doing, Yeshiva University, working with students and teachers and doing research, adding capacity in the university to do work in the local schools. One of the schools that we visited in Iowa, we got to meet with the students and in a middle school. And so we said, well, what difference has it made that these college students are coming here to help you with your reading? And they didn't speak up very fast. Then one of the little boys said, well, they become friends. I can ask them stuff I can't ask at home. Then the other little boy said, well, they invited us to the campus and we got to go see what a real college looks like. And then the third kid was the one who got me. He said, well, we knew they really liked us, that this was going to be a real serious time because they let us eat with them on campus. And so the professor said they invited the kids to the campus and they told them they could eat anything they wanted in the cafeteria. But that was a turning point in the relationship that these young people needed, and that work is continuing. And so by next year, we'll have some measurements for that class of fifth graders because they'll be ready to go to ninth grade. What happened as a result of having a college student follow them, the college student from the college student freshman year, the middle schooler from the middle school's fifth grade year till they entered high school. Little becomes much when all of these people are working together. So these were some of the other issue areas that the campuses are working on across the nation: the domestic poverty, homelessness and hunger, energy and the environment, health and human service issues, healthy living. And there were many, many food deserts near some of our campuses, and they decided that they would plant community gardens, which didn't sound like much to them, until they found that they had enough food growing, that they were able to teach people how to grow, they were able to feed people, and then other community groups said, well, we've got a vacant lot. In one school, they donated a whole football field so the community could take sections of it, but the students were giving the leadership in this, the disaster preparedness, and on and on and on. Issues that all of us are concerned about, students who have decided that they can do something that makes a difference, moved by their values that grow out of their faith, working together to make a real difference. So this year, I was really excited when I realized that this was the day before a big meeting that we have in Washington, D.C. Actually, there'll be a community march tomorrow. There'll be community projects going on tomorrow across Washington, D.C. as the students come in from across the country for a meeting that we will hold on George Washington University's campus on Monday and Tuesday. And this is a time when representatives from 500 schools will come together and just share what they've done over this past year. But this year, we combined the program with the President's Honor Roll. This work is done by the White House, the Corporation of National and Community Service, and the Department of Ed. And how many of you are familiar with this at the college level, the President's Honor Roll? So the President of the United States recognizes campuses, and this has been in place for many, many years, so it is not an initiative that President Obama started. It is an initiative that he's continuing. So they're recognized for intentionally working, providing service in local communities across the country. They have to evaluate how many hours they've given, how many people they've served, et cetera. And then depending on their metrics, they're recognized on the President's Honor Roll for making a difference through the higher education community service programs. This year, interfaith community service was added for the first time. So the first winner of that recognition will be made on Tuesday of this next week. And we're really excited about it, that young people are saying, we do think that this matters, and it helps make us better people. The impact in the first 2 years, as we were able to measure this work, those who sent in reports, and you know everybody doesn't report, but of the schools that reported, look at that, 152 million additional service hours by college students across the country, 72 first-time interfaith events, and the numbers go on and on and on. But the young people are getting it, and if they get it, they're already young leaders. They can make a big difference in spaces that some of our folk feel like they're too old to change. So we're going to keep on working on these young adults, and they'll work on their families, and the change that we need to make won't be so difficult to make. So I've mentioned this gathering that will be Monday and Tuesday. We have great hopes that in this next year, that even more colleges will join on. The action item that I hope you here will help us with is to spread the word about this challenge and help us to increase the number of colleges and universities, community colleges as well, that are willing to take on the challenge of working together across their differences and understanding that this helps build bridges of understanding. It strengthens our country globally and locally. And the lesson we've learned from these young people is that there are lots of needs out there, that we just have to find those needs and be willing to fill them. And I'd just like to close with sharing the quote that President Obama used when he started this program, and it's simply this: the particular faith that motivates each of us can promote a greater good for all of us. Instead of driving us apart, our varied beliefs can bring us together to feed the hungry and comfort the afflicted, to make peace where there is strife and rebuild what is broken, to lift up those who have fallen on hard times. That's the challenge of all of us as faith leaders, and we lead best when we lead by example. I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. Faith leaders can make a difference in the public square.